Yo, what's going on, WoW nerds? Have you ever thought that the 120 boost is just way too expensive? That there's got to be an easier way just to level up all your characters? Well, here in this video, I actually leveled up a character in less than 24 hours. I did so by doing shortcuts, figuring out the quickest path, and overall just using my general knowledge of World of Warcraft to level up my character as fast as I possibly could. This was a huge challenge for me, considering the fact that I've never done this before. I've leveled up characters in the past, but I've never done it this fast. On top of that, we have so many XP boosts right now that we can take advantage of that it'd just be a shame to have to pay the $60 or whatever it is to boost a character. Now you're probably wondering how I did all this. So let's get right into the video. Ever since I've owned a GMMK and a Model O from Glorious PC Gaming Race, I've been in love. Glorious is home to the infamous Model O, one of the most lightweight and quickest mice on the market, currently weighing in at only 67 grams for the matte models. These peripherals have elevated my gaming and took it to the next level. I promise once you buy these, you'll be hooked as well. Use my link below for all your Glorious PC Gaming Race purchases. Let me start this off by saying I didn't use any pots. I didn't have any outside help until level 110. All I had was a full set of heirlooms, the 100% XP buff, the Dark Moonfair buff, and obviously War Mode on. With just the buffs that I was using, I was at 165% XP. Now this is very critical for the run. Now if you don't have heirlooms, you're down to only about 120 XP bonus, which isn't that big of a deal. But it does help to have all those heirlooms. The extra 45% is going to be huge for you, and I know new players don't really have access to heirlooms, so this guide is still for you even if you don't have heirlooms. It's just going to take a little bit longer. So I actually created a Troll Druid for this run. There wasn't really any necessary reason why besides the fact that my chat wanted to see it. After I chose it, I realized it actually is probably a good pick because it can do all three roles. Being able to tank, heal, or DPS while you're leveling up is a really big deal. The DPS is going to help you while you're leveling, questing wise, and the tank and healer role are going to help you get faster dungeon queues. Oh my god, dude. I'm actually slow running this. Now, the biggest thing when you hit level 15, you're finally going to be able to dungeon. This is huge for you because at level 15, the dungeons are really good for XP. All the dungeons up until about level 45, 50 have really easy quests to complete inside the dungeon, and they're also very fast to complete. Dungeoning is going to be your bread and butter until about the levels that I mentioned earlier. Now, picking your role as you start as your class when you're first starting out on the speedrun is very vital to the entire run. You're not limited to what you do, but just know that picking a class that has a tank or a healer option is going to be monumental for your run. Being able to queue as a tank or healer while you're dungeoning is going to give you way faster queues, it's going to give you way faster times, and it's just overall going to help you all together. I chose to do tank as I was going through this because as a tank you can kind of set the motion of the dungeon. As a tank I can pull as much as I feel like is necessary to make sure we get through it as fast as possible, but a healer is okay too. And just remember, if you're playing only as a DPS, this might be a little bit more challenging for you as dungeon queues will be a little bit longer, but you can fill that gap by doing quests. But like I said, if you do choose DPS, you have been warned, it will take a little bit longer. Also, one of the biggest key things to remember as a DPS, healer, or tank, if you have a really good group where you're blowing through everything really fast, and it doesn't happen often, but when you have people that know what they're doing and you're getting through low level stuff very fast, don't be afraid to requeue with them. Especially as a tank or healer, if you push the requeue button, 9 times out of 10 the DPS will follow you just because they have long queues as well. And if you are a DPS, don't be afraid to try to requeue. If you're doing well enough, a lot of times tanks and healers will roll with you. One of the biggest things to remember as you're dungeoning is you can teleport out of the dungeon using the icon up in the top right by your map, teleporting out, and then teleporting back in. That'll put you at the front of the dungeon where you can turn in all your quests, so you don't have to run all the way back. Never, ever, ever leave a dungeon without turning in your quests. This is going to be huge for your XP. I cannot stress this enough how important it is. How many times I see people leaving dungeons without turning in the quests. $50 using coupons.
It was $9.89.89, I remember.
Like, huh? Come again? Like, that's actually just so dumb. For work, and now I gotta go back and fucking work.
You weren't closed for 2 weeks.
Dude, I'm pretty sure you guys were. Maybe it just seemed like less.
No, I know we were not.
Maybe you were, dude.
What the fuck would you know? You're sitting on your ass the whole time regardless.
I know, I was sitting on my ass playing with you. That's all I know.
We don't even play games together.
Ryan definitely wasn't doing shit either.
True.
Now, like I said earlier, you're usually going to be dungeoning around 15 to about 45 to 50. At around 50, you're going to want to start questing. The reason being is because the dungeons around the level 50 area are a little bit harder, they take a little bit longer, and the quests just aren't as good. Now with the new leveling system in WoW, you can actually level up anywhere in Kalimdor or Eastern Kingdoms because they made all levels 1 through 60. So what I did is I went back to the War Chief board and I actually chose the level in Azara right above Orgrimmar. Now these low level areas are actually really good for XP. Because for low levels they make it all bunched up together so that way it's easier for you to quest as a low level. So all these quests that are bunched up together and really easy to do reward very fast XP. It doesn't matter where you level as soon as you hit 50, but my advice is to choose a low level area or what used to be a low level area and start there. I went from 55 to 60 in Azara in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
450 XP. Right. You know? One quest is 22,000 XP. And I have a feeling like one quest, if you did 3 quests, that's more than the XP that you get from the dungeon. And I have a feeling that's way faster than burning an entire, like, really fucking lovely dungeon. I don't know.
I was able to hit level 60 at 7 hours and 17 minutes. Now that you're at level 60, you have to choose where you're going to go. You can either choose Outlands or Northrend. Personally, I like Outlands better just because I think the quests are a little bit more bunched together. Hellfire Peninsula is a really good area to level right away. But if you prefer Northrend and you know the quest better there, then go ahead and choose Northrend because here it really doesn't matter. Now dungeoning is super RNG based when it comes to these dungeons. You're going to want to switch between the Burning Crusade dungeons and the Wrath dungeons as you're queuing. So this is super RNG based because you could get the same dungeons over and over again and then it's going to kill your time a little bit. If you get a dungeon that still has a quest, this is going to give you a lot of XP. 7380 is going to be the exact same thing. Because of the new leveling system, they bunched up Burning Crusade and Wrath. Now if you want to, if you're tired of Burning Crusade or if you're tired of Wrath, then swap leveling areas. Don't be afraid to go to a new area because things are getting boring. I know this gets really repetitive, especially this area, because we've all done it so many times. So now that we hit level 80, our next decision is where we're going to go to. Now I prefer Pandaland over Cataclysm areas. I think the Pandaland areas are really easy to level in. I think they give really good XP, and I also just really enjoy the area. Now if you choose Cataclysm, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that whatever area you choose is the one with your best knowledge. The faster you can get the quest done, the faster this will be. One of the most important things in this, between 80 and 90, is going to be dungeoning. All the dungeons give quests right away at the beginning of the dungeon, and all the dungeons for the most part are pretty quick. I prefer Pandaland dungeons, again, just because I think they're faster. Now as soon as you hit 90, you're going to be given the quest to start the WAD chain. Now the WAD chain is really important in this run, because it's probably one of the hardest parts of it. Well, not necessarily hard, it just takes a while. Because WAD dungeons aren't going to do anything for you. This area is completely up to questing. I wouldn't even touch a dungeon here if I'm being honest. I did multiple dungeons while I was leveling and realized after the fact that it's just way too slow. In WAD there's a ton of quests, a ton of side quests, there's just so much to do. If I was to go back and do this again, I would definitely just only do questing, and that's my advice for you guys. So once you hit level 100, your biggest thing here is going to be questing again. Now the reason being is because at Legion you don't get quests as soon as you get into a dungeon. As you're leveling up in an area though, at the end of the area you do get a huge quest for a dungeon. This quest usually rewards up to 300k XP, which is huge. Once you finish an area, make sure to specific queue for that dungeon so you can get that huge quest reward. This is going to give you probably a level and a half to 2 levels. But like I said, questing is going to be your best bet here. It doesn't really matter which areas you start in either, just pick whichever ones you're most comfortable with. Now like I said in the video earlier, I didn't actually get assistance till 110. At 110 I actually did get assistance though, because right now freehold leveling is the best way to level from 110 to 120. If you have a friend that knows how to do these polls and do these runs, this is going to be your best bet. From 110 to 120, each level is around 5 minutes. Now that is huge, because normally in BFA content, it takes about 20 to 30 minutes per level questing and dungeoning. So you're going to be cutting down your time tremendously. Now if you don't have somebody to run you through freehold, or you don't have a friend, or you don't have the gold to shell out to somebody that's doing the runs, then questing and dungeoning is fine. It's going to take you longer, but at the end of the day, the guide is to cut down as much time as possible. If I wouldn't have gone this route, I would have assumed that I would have been at about 28 hours after everything. But like I said, this is the best way to level. And if you have a buddy that knows how to do it, or you have the gold to shell out for it, this is going to be your best. So like I said, I was able to complete 1 through 120 in just 23 hours and 56 minutes. This was a huge accomplishment for me because I've never really done anything like this before. I know there's probably faster times out there, and I know I'm probably not the quickest to do it, but at the end of the day, I felt good knowing that I completed a character in just under a day. Having a character completed under 24 hours is just so huge for me. I'm now 3 away from having all 120s on the Horde side. I'm about 5 away on the Alliance side. I'm going to be using this method that I've told you guys about on every single character that I level from here on out. I'm also going to figure out ways to cut time and figure out the best ways to do things. I stream live on Twitch every single day, and my link is down below. If I figure out a quicker way to do this, or I get a quicker time, it'll always be on the stream. And if I find a way to cut time tremendously, then I'll post another video about it. But this video was just to give you a quick guide on how to level up the fastest with the XP boost. If you like the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. It lets me know that you guys want more videos like this. I appreciate you guys watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time.